coming back, see if anybody comes through. I had a good live set earlier. I don't know if anybody gonna come through because it was really on point live. We had some real good conversation. It was getting real good. Was addressing what I was addressing was I just got to reading about Tiffany Hardish, and she's going over to Israel. She's looking for love, so I don't know what that means in English, but um, you know, she's an interesting character. What's up? I'm back, and I just got through checking out Tiffany Hardish. She's going to Israel looking for love. I don't know if you mess with old Tiffany. She be tap dancing though. I don't know what she up to, and I don't really pay her film career a lot of work. Yup, she's over there looking for love or something. She's saying. So I don't know what's up. That's what I heard. Tricking? Yup, probably so. Probably so. You know the Hollywood massa is done with her though. You know that, right? They ain't messing with her too tough in Hollywood like they did. There was a time, she's with Kevin Hart, then she went broke. She's on that Stacey Dash tip. So, I mean, they always have one, you know. What you mean? She's over in Israel right now because I just got through checking out. Lisa Cabrera was talking about her. I was checking out the thing, but that's been all over the news that she's over there looking for love and she's trying to see the war and all kinds of stuff. I mean, yeah, that's what's up with her. Um, no, she went broke. She went broke. And I know that she messed with uh Common because Common's messing with Jennifer Hudson now. So um, and it was kind of interesting what her career went through. It doesn't end well. No, it never does. But yeah, so that's what got my attention. Cause I'm ready to get back on here and start talking about Allen Iverson. I saw Tiffany Haddish, and I was like, oh God, what she done now? Sometimes you be seeing things and it's like a train wreck, and you're like, oh boy, what she done now? You know. But yeah, we can talk about old Tiffy. Yeah, because she never was funny. I never did get the hype behind her. I tried to watch her movies and they just never clicked. And, you know, um, she was she had some appeal, but we don't talk about Tiffany. We really don't. She just ended up being loud and all over the place, and I don't know. I don't know. Well, I'm not gonna call her a bum. I'm gonna call her never was, cause see, to me, she wasn't funny. I never really got the hype, and I didn't really, I mean, I thought the hood girl around the way. I just never got it. So she was a never was for me. If she was a bum for you, that's because you had some expectations. I didn't really have any expectations. I thought she was kind of, it's kind of silly. I just didn't really, I don't know. It never registered in my register. Let's just say that. And I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. I'll come back to her. What I was gonna say before I got caught up about her was the Allen Iverson conversation we had, and he wouldn't average no 43. You were talking about Maxey, and I thought only if Tobias Harris was his teammate. Now, if Tobias is on his team, yeah, he probably score about 40, 30 to 40. But not with no Embiid and no Maxey. No, no. Mm-mm. Not with that squad. Not with, you know, he's thinking like how he played in the 90s to the OOs. And you remember his wheels came off in Philly. So I don't know where he'd go where he'd average some 43. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know where he'd go. Please tell me what team is going to sit there and let Iverson jack up all them bricks. Because sometimes he did brick house. He would brick. He was tough and he was a great talent, but he shot a lot of bricks. And he sure as heck wasn't no 3-point shooter. You know, I don't know where he could go, but he was thinking. With Detroit, he was a never was. You know, he just didn't fit. He was, but I still don't know if he should have necessarily got an MVP over Shaq. But he was though, or they could at least had a draw for the MVP. He led that team, and I was so tired of that team. I had to hear about best coach, best player, best cheerleaders, best six man, best fans, best owner, best uniforms. I remember. I lived in Hampton. I lived in Hampton, Virginia, and that bowling alley where that whole episode went down was around the block from my grandmother's house. It was about probably about a 10-minute walk, 10-15 minute walk. There was a Shoney's restaurant that used to be down there on that road, Pembroke. And Shoney's was there, and there was that bowling alley, and that was real. And Hampton is a racist town. I mean, but Thompson took him in. I remember all that. Hmm. Well, he was underrated in terms of his of that it's beyond coaching. It's impact talking to people in a language they can relate to. He was a real mentor, and that's underrated fundamental today. People look at X's and O's. Sometimes there's other words that are said where you go. So I hold him in high regard. Yeah, but they underachieved though. J.R. Smith and they did. George Carl had I they didn't get what they supposed to get, and you know why? Because they didn't have a leader. I never considered Iverson a leader. Great talent, and he made himself into a great player, and he worked hard. But he wasn't that dude. He was see for me, small man like that is Isaiah Zeke. You can hate Zeke all you want, but Zeke was gonna bust your butt. And believe me, Melo would have been an all-time great player had he played with Zeke. When they got together in Denver, that felt like some homeboys kicking it. It didn't feel like the authenticity of going for blood and we're gonna win. Oh yeah, Larry. Besides X's and O's, Larry was a strategist. He said, "Stop doing the dumb stuff and get on the good foot, like James Brown. Figure this stuff out. Stop settling for trivia, purse snatch and jive. Hustle. Play some ball." And he said, "You have to use your team. You have to use your mind. Stop trying to take it off yourself." And so, of course, Iverson always tell you he ain't play with nobody. That was his criteria because he got C. Weber old. He got Derrick Coleman old. We don't talk about Tony Kukoc. And he didn't really have nobody for most of his career. That's a fact. Dikembe was about 62. Come on now. So, but I think they lack leadership there. But George Carl was the best coach for Melo as far as style goes. Because you can play in his system. You may not can play for him, however, you can thrive in his style. So, just saying, you know, Iverson was tough, but he ain't no 43 points coming out today. I don't know what he was snorting. I need some of them drugs. Yeah, he did. He did. He did. And one of those guys that coached up guys, and you know, I give where credit is due. I ain't like him personally, but I'm not gonna his style worked. His style worked. because I saw it firsthand with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, and I saw what happened in Denver. I saw what he could do. You know, I think he run his mouth too much, and I got some issues with him. He definitely give me racial vibe issues and stuff he said, but I can't take away what he knew about the offense, though. Can't take that away. You know, I think his defense against Jordan in the finals was effective. Because Seattle did a pretty good job. They didn't stop Jordan, but they did a pretty good job. But it was Rodman who stole a couple games. Most of them do. Most of them, you know. And because I tell anybody, somebody asks me why, I said, well, you got to remember something. They didn't have a lot of black head coaches, black general managers, black owners, commissioners. So, yeah, he all but called Russell Wilson a boy. All but. And he, you know, it's not like he ain't got childish issues himself. You know, for all that hype he got one ring. He got the same amount of rings as Mike McCarthy and Harbaugh. So I don't see what's so special about him. Y'all acting like he got 2, 3 rings, and he was like, or he went to multiple Super Bowls with 2 different teams, like he's Mike Holmgren, and he ain't Mike Holmgren. Nah, he ain't Fisher Price because he got a ring. Fisher got runner up. Going as a participant and winning puts you in a different level. No, but no, James Harbaugh is more Fisher Price now because he's been with Baltimore for how many years? And that ring is getting old. Sean Payton got let go. They still got James Harbaugh in Baltimore. So I'm just saying. And Mike McCarthy, as you know, got let go from Green Bay. I'm just saying. Fisher Price, you stayed at 20 years and you living off what you did 20 years ago. So I had to say that about Harbaugh. That's what I'm saying. And you got a guy who's won 2 league MVPs in the last 5 years, and you got one AFC championship game to show for it, and I think one chance to the second round or 2 times or some mess. You ain't exactly. I understand with Lamar and Andy Reid. I get dominance, and I know how tough it is to get through. Because the dominance, when you have to be in there is no parity. But having said that, though, you can't be just a casualty so often. That's all I'm saying. So, well, yeah, could buy you 10. Let me think about what it did. Look what it did for John Madden. He became a loudmouth, ate all over TV, and got with Pat Drunk Summerall, and it did wonders. Did wonders for him. The Madden game, one ring, okay? One ring. One ring back in the day meant everything. I mean, Joe Namath lived off of one ring. Free food till he dropped, pretty much till he got drunk and started hitting. What I'm saying is that ring, Vince Lombardi. Lombardi, okay? But he did do good in his defense with Jacksonville's a GM. He did do good. He was a good coach. The guy's very good. Very good. you know. But where he beat New England, he'll never have to worry about a meal in New York again. You know. And he did. He was a good, very good coach. Do I consider him great? He don't come up in the conversation because he's not an offensive guru. And the quarterback he had, Eli, is not exactly, between Burnell and Eli, they're not exactly guys. Eli got the last name and he's clutching the postseason, but it's not like you sit there and you be on the fence about him making the Hall of Fame. Just saying. So, but give where credit is due. That man won, and it does buy you. It didn't work though for what Bellick in Baltimore though. He said he was an offensive guru, and they got rid of him. Yeah, they didn't hang on the Harbaugh more than they did Bellick. Most underrated info coaching opinion. Dan Coryell, because they just didn't win, but the Chargers, he was great. Um, I believe Marv Levy because he did in Kansas City and Buffalo. I think George Seifert because he showed he could coach. Now Carolina didn't get to the Super Bowl, but he did lead them pretty deep. He could coach. Actually, he did. He was a very good coach. He didn't get his just due. I think Seifert was straight. Chuck Knox was a very good coach. That's true. Because Jim Caldwell is a good example. And Caldwell's underrated. And he did do good in Detroit. It took them a minute before they got Dan Campbell. Let me remember that because Matt Patricia stunk it up. Caldwell was legit. He did lead the Colts to the Super Bowl. He could coach. I think Arshell was kind of underrated too. Who I want to pick on to fill in it. I'm only going by coaches that I think that were actually legit. Yeah, he would be. He would be. He would be. Who would be? There you go. Do you think your head coach, Matt LaFleur, is underrated? Because he has led y'all to an NFC championship game. You could have won this game this year. You did get some rounds. And he actually doing pretty good without Aaron Rodgers. He did better with Jordan Love. So is he falling underrated? Because yeah, okay, there you go. I give LaFleur that. I know everyone still looks at him as like a seventh grade science teacher or something, and they still think he's, but he showed me some stuff. And I think Jordan Love is going to be, is Sean McVay underrated? Because the Rams got the 2 Super Bowls and he's had some success. I said McVay. I didn't say anything about McDermott. McDermott is a good coach. Okay, overrated. McDermott is a good coach, but a better coach does better. Okay. I do kind of be wondering about McVay because I don't know why they fall off so bad on the all. He gets receivers too. I just don't understand his tendencies. Now, black coaches don't. We go see what happens in Houston. I'll see what happens with that. Yeah, he got a lot of good offensive ideas. I just don't know if it feels kind of gimmicky. That's the only problem I have with Miami. They feel kind of gimmicky. And you gotta play some defense and you gotta play in the cold. So I don't know. I like his offensive mindset, but you get your butt toe up in the cold and you get your butt beat up by physical teams. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. No, Tampa Bay, whatchamacallit? He I think um he can coach, but I think offense is kind of like not his strongest suit, but he does all right. I mean, he did do good with Baker this year. I'm pulling for the brothers to do something. I really am. Because they're not gonna get the same luck, the same love the white counterparts. That's just a fact. So, but anyway. But yeah, that makes a good discussion though. But yeah, you know, oh yeah. Okay, when you say that, what do you mean? He should be, because if you watch the last what 5 games of that season, especially where they lost to Arizona, and the way they tumbled and fell off, and the way they looked in that playoff game, the way they looked, I mean, that was horrible. I mean, Tampa, they looked horrible. They didn't even play flag football, let alone touch. They tackled. They just didn't tackle. And to me, he lost. He talked too much. He popped his gums against the 49ers and got his butt toe up. And he need to shut up. You went to a Super Bowl. You got a runner up going for you. But 2 strikes you got against you. You coaching a team that is very relevant. 1. 2, that's in Philly. 3, you got a quarterback who's a premier quarterback. And 4, you got the Cowboys in division. You cannot be nonchalant and act arrogant and cocky and don't get that team where they're supposed to, or you will hear about it and you will be outside looking in, because Philly don't play. They not gonna tolerate. They're not gonna tolerate mediocrity, especially when they got a team that can win 10, 11, 12 games. When 12 games can win, they can't. They're not gonna tolerate that. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if it's because him and the coach. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know. I was impressed with him in the Super Bowl. Yeah, he fumbled that ball, but if it wasn't for his motion, they don't be in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think he's very underappreciated receiver. I think that he should, and I've always dug him. I've always dug his game. But I mean, at this stage, him with playing with Baker or going somewhere he can win more rings, I think he's gonna go somewhere with more rings. I just don't, if he stays there, then more respect, more power to him. But you know, I had to give it out there. I do mix and match videos on different sports and different things, and I like to keep it fresh with people because you know, especially when you about people that don't ever hardly get talked about, or they talk about it, but they don't really go into the details, you know, and they don't give him his due. You know, he's a very talented receiver. That's a win-win too. I mean, if they get Adams, because he's got crazy, he got handles, he got speed, he can burn. Ugh. And you remember when they had gotten Sammy Watkins and that didn't quite work out because Buffalo let him go, and I didn't like that, but the Adams, oh man, if they get Adams or they get Evans, they're gonna. I see 2 more rings for him easily, and he's stocking rings up as it is as we speak. So he will definitely be. It won't even be fair. It won't even be fair. So I don't know about that. They had to win 3 more. I don't know about that, but I 1 or 2 more. I don't know about 6. He gets 6, you'll never shut him up. I don't know. I don't think they can go, that deep, but I think they could. I mean, they might be the team that could go with 3, go 3. They might. I mean, a lot depends on Chris Jones. Um, you know, they keep everybody motivated, which I know they will. Mahomes is going to be motivated. I clearly see him with at least another 1 or 2 easily, and then there won't be no arguments then. If he three-peats or he wins 5, I don't hear nobody saying, well, because you can't argue against his dominance. You can't. And he's running away with everybody right now. I mean, it's not even close. He's on another level. I've not seen a quarterback that's I've seen quarterbacks that were great stat wise or this wise, but not like this cat. This cat's on another level. So I'm just reading about Orlando Brown right now. That's crazy what he said. Ah, shit. He was. I mean, you throw 50 touchdown passes. I mean, come on now. Oh, you ain't hear about that? He says that he allegedly slept with Puffy, Bow Wow, Busta Rhymes, Cat Williams, Usher, and Terrence Howard. Diddy, Bow Wow, Busta Rhymes, Cat Williams, Usher, Terrence Howard. He said he got that. What he said. I saw the video. I believe him. And you can call me crazy, just like with Jaguar Wright. Look, that industry, there be some strange stuff. And I remember when he did Vlad TV 2016. And when Prince died, he said the devil came to collect. He said he had it coming. And he talked about Michael Jackson with the flying over and all that. But what he said about Prince, the way Prince, everything went over Prince, because everybody don't really know how things were and all that. All this stuff is coming to pass. Now, take your bias out, how you might look at him crazy and weird and all that. But a lot of this stuff is strange. Don't be that deep. It's some strange behavior. And that, there's, I hate to say, there's some truth to some of this stuff that be going on. I'm not lying. You know, I don't think everything he says out of the top of his head is necessarily off, with Jaguar Right. People used to laugh and clown and say, you're a crackhead and this and that. What happened? What happened? I don't put nothing past nothing, you know. Like Orlando Brown does what he do, Antonio Brown do what he do, something go down. Some of that stuff be going down. They be kissing rings and making deals. I'm telling you, ain't a lot separating what you see, you know. Just like how people while LeBron James is getting so pushed on everybody. All this push, you know. Just saying. Just like that white boy in OKC, Giddy. You ain't heard no one say nothing about that no more. Now, did they sweep that underneath the carpet rug or what? You ain't heard no more about it. He gets his little 10, 11 points a game. Ain't no one say nothing. No, where's the offensive at? Just saying. Mm-hmm. I and others did videos about it. And Gail King ain't come out. Lick Andrews ain't come out. Stephen A ain't came out. Shane ain't say nothing. Skip ain't they didn't forgot all about it. All about it. I guess he's a migrant worker. Or he's a passport brother. That's what they gonna say from Australia. He all right. He's a alright player. He does a little bit, but he ain't, let's be realistic. It ain't like Jokic or something. It ain't like Luke or something. I'm not condoning it, but I understand if a cat was a superstar or potential great player or something like that, and they were like, okay, we're gonna have to cover this up. But Giddy ain't that memorable. He ain't exactly like somebody that you sit around and he decent, but it ain't like like I don't know. Just saying. They swept that way under them. But anyway, That just came up though, and I'm like, okay, there's always something. Yo, he was swept. Oh, Freaky Marv. I remember that like yesterday because we were, me and my boy used to play basketball, and we be playing 21, and we shoot the ball, and we be like, Marv for the thong. Yes, yes. And a fresh bite. Yes, yes. We were doing Marv jokes. We were cracking on Marv. But Marv, and his girl was bad. I remember that whole thing. Marv put that little toupee on and got his freak on. I'm like, go ahead, Marv. Yeah, like I don't want to hear nothing about no Robert Kraft because they got at him the same time they did R. Kelly, but they got the Roberts. One Robert got locked up and got 99 to the other Robert. They gave him the Jewish award. Remember, he got some special Jewish award and great outstanding citizen. And I'm like, okay, getting your back all massage and in a sweatshop. Yeah, how that work, Robert Kraft? And then I'm just saying, I keep it at 100. I'm keeping it 100. He was charged the same day as R. Kelly, and one cat gets locked up, and they got all kinds of stuff, and the other one gets a massage and his pedicure, and he gets treated like a hero. And you think people be making this up about racial? You think people got like, how come one Robert, both got the name Robert, but they went in two different? And I'm not saying that RK and that other RK went the same, but there should have been some community service, but they, anyone saying nothing. He got married, you know, but I don't think they'll let them win no rings no more. I don't think they can win no more rings though. Cause I like Mayo, but they ain't got enough there. But they do stuff like that. They think you. Oh, I remember. I used to watch that show, Bob's Beauties. Bob Barker was like Hugh Hefner with a two-piece suit on. Bob's Beauties. Come here, girl. Give me some. I know how he did O'Halley and all them, all squeezing, touching, and the sister too, the one that was in Friday. She was one of them too. She talked about old Bob Freaky Barker. Oh, he was Hugh Hefner, squeezing all the fruit. He was such a lich that they went and got Drew Carey. Cause they're like, you got to get a certain type of guy. Bob like, have your pet spayed and neutered. I'll get you. Perv. Yeah, he was. Heard about Merv Griffin too. Stuff be running rampant through all that stuff. They go after who they want. They go after who they want. Oh, you talking about Rich Dawson? Oh yeah, I used to call him the Rod Stewart of a game show host. Crack me up. Yeah, he was a perv. He was a perv. He was a perv. He Yeah, he was a perv too. He was all on that same thing. He got away with a lot of stuff. They would not let that fly today. Yeah, she gets no one ever holds no accountability for owners. Cause usually if Mark Cuban was macking on some of the chilies, they probably may say something. And she does get her desserts. But they have to kind of be cool because she's in LA and she's a female and they gotta be very cool. But she said she did get groped. She never said who did it though. I don't know who it was that squeezed, but I don't know. But I'm sure someone definitely, just saying. When he got to LA, yeah. He broke up with his wife and then he went back to Montana and he got hooked up with her. Yeah. Yeah, I think he was doing some stuff in Chicago. I know for sure. But she feels that old, play that old hippie role and peace and love and roll up them joints and he's all righteous and stuff. And them the ones that be just macking hardcore. I don't think it's undercover. I think it's what it is, you know, because he talks and puts things there. I don't think it's no undercover. You read between the lines. I never got over what he said about Iverson and about the clothes. I thought, okay, where's this going? Now, the posse remarks about LeBron, but I understand what he was saying because he didn't want it to be turned into like an hour game. But I thought the term was a bit loaded because even though I'm not, with Maverick Carter and I get tired of them, Clutch is about business. They're not running some, they're not, they really are trying to get a monopoly and they're doing what the sports agents do. You just ain't used to black folk necessarily doing it. But it's just the way he worded that. Like he's wasting his like it's some crew that's wearing some cats and caps to the side and they trying to be no, they're doing things. I just didn't like how he worded that. But I understood what he was saying though. You already know. That's the only reason why he still got a job, if you must know. If he didn't have that association, his butt would have been fired. If LeBron was about 5 years younger and Ham wasn't connected, he would be hammed. Okay? Because even I'm telling the truth. I'm gonna talk about it here because I ain't gonna do it in the video. I'm gonna talk about it right here. Anthony Davis is actually balling. Now I don't want to hear this top 5 crap that Stephen A. Smith and all that crap, but top near 10, not quite 10. But he's healthy, he's playing. He just ain't that dude. And they are looking at a Trey Young, which I talked about. They're looking at a sidekick. LeBron ain't it. They need LeBron to be the third slot if he stays. If he don't stay, they need to go and make a maneuver to get somebody to compliment him. Yeah, yeah. They got spanked by San Antonio already. They should beat them, but you know, that Golden State hangover kicks their butt. They should beat them, but if they don't, it's not that big of a matchup. But I'm gonna tell you something. Everybody's jocking Wemby. He keeps up. If he can get him a half a Tony Parker or Ginobili type guard and some defense and a bench, like how I told you about Jordan Love in a couple of years, Wemby could be the problem in the West. He could be a problem because his upside is scary, and he ain't going nowhere. And he learned he's shooting outside too, and he can pass and move in rotation, and they get a couple pieces. He could be a problem. He could be a problem. So I'm just saying. Deals. He could. And I'm gonna tell you something. When he gets some seasoning, watch out. Because the scary thing about this cat, he's raw bone right now. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. When I told you about when Pedro Martinez was raw bone, and then when he got seasoned and then he got polished, then he just because when a guy is raw bone, it has. But ask yourself, who else is gonna come to San Antonio and coach them? 5 rings, 6 finals appearances, then bought this cat probably about 10, 15 years or whatever. And you're seeing the whatever. Because he's not going to win a ring this year. And the last time he won a ring was 10 years ago. Last time he was competing with Kawhi, and Kawhi got knocked in the leg by old boy in Golden State, and that was the end of that 2017, 2018. So that was it. That's the last time San Antonio was relevant, about 7 years ago. So, but he bought himself, and you can't argue against that. But if Wemby can come along and get them to the finals and something happens, I think he'll retire. Basketball's a different animal, though. Because unless, of course, you just a narcissist and you just burn out, they're not gonna let you. Well, that does happen. I take that back because Pat Riley got ran out of L.A., but Eric Spoelstra's showing you can stay, and I don't think Steve Kerr's going. He's gonna figure it out. Dallas is nice. I mean, you asked me, you told me. So if the trade works, Jason Kidd got to make it happen. I mean, if Luka and Kyrie can, there's some interesting storylines in the West. I know they don't talk about it on ESPN or Undisputed and others channels because it's just not about LA. But there are some interesting storylines. Dallas is an interesting storyline. OKC's interesting storyline. Will Denver repeat? Interesting storyline. Clippers interesting storyline. Is Minnesota legit or is they a fraud? Phoenix is interesting. There's storylines. We got about 4 or 5 storylines even before you get down to La La Land and Golden State. Just saying. We do, because I don't limit it about that. I'm not bought and paid for. I don't talk about LeBron James all day, all night. I make some things about him. You asked me were they for real, and I told you the Heat were going to have some issues. Remember? I told you. They're not to be played with. They got a nice young little squad. They got a nice little young squad. Now, are they a legit second tier team? Not quite. But get another piece, stay consistent, cohesive. We don't know what's going to happen, what the Heat will do. We don't know what's going to happen, what the Celtics will do. See, they could be the move for a team to come up. And if Giannis don't take over and Embiid don't get, a team like this could come up. That's what the NBA needs. They need an upstart team to come up. The Pacers are looking good. Halliburton, that cat's legit. So listen, there's some young teams that they're coming up. And don't act like you're getting comfortable just because you see Boston, Milwaukee, Philly all the time, and sometimes Miami. New York, I don't know. Brunson, I like a lot. I don't know what Randall's going to do. I don't trust Tibbs. Well, he's in a situation where he is free. He's free. And I would have loved to have had him on Miami as a sidekick. Because remember, he's one of them cats that he's a strong 2. He'll flirt with looking like a 1, but he's a strong 2. And he's the most dangerous 3. That means if he falls as the 3rd best player on your team, he's the most dangerous cat probably rolling. He's a strong 2, and he's just outside of a 1. Halliburton is a beast. Kid's nice. And I tell you, all they got to do is get some defense, little seasoning. Halliburton's nice. They're not too cheap to trade anyone. They don't have no one nobody want except for Bam. Butler's too inconsistent. And Tyler Hero, they dangling Duncan Robinson. That's all they can dangle. They let Jimmy Butler walk if he wanted to go. And bam, but that's it. What else we got? That's it. That's it. And then you get Hero and you get Duncan Robinson. That's it. That's it. So, you only got so much you can work with. That's all they got. Yeah, well, he's a sloppy Joe. I do like aspects of his game, but I don't see much coming out. I just don't. And I think they're gonna have to make some move. They'll have to make a move eventually. So that's all I can say. You know. Well, I'd be thinking like that because it's like, growing up, Comedy always play a part, and I look at some of these cats, and these cats kind of loan themselves to a name, you know. Like I'll call it like Kendrick Facial Perkins because he's always got a facial. That's how I think about him, Kendrick Percial. And people always come up with names and stuff. So yeah. And you probably like it when I say Anthony King Kong Davis. Ah! He be cracking me up. He did have an old head. Dude, he did have an old head. Kind of like Jonathan Majors, got that old man look. King Kong Davis. He be growling all the time. Like he make a shot. Oh, come me. Oh! And I'm like, don't pull nothing because you could be out for like 2 weeks. You know how it is. You'll say your tongue got tired or something. He be, yeah. I'm like, come on now. Yeah, we better be careful because if I hear Darren Ham call him King Kong, you know where he got it from. That's an inside joke. But all that growling he be doing, he didn't growl last night when Curry hit that reverse, hit that flip through that shot up over, crossed him up, and then hit that right swirl. I'm like, what are you growling in? Can't keep up. And you know what? Curry would be the best player for AD style. Be scary. Listen. He fit. He fit. He fit. It's just that he is so stubborn about bringing in youth. He was so late with Clay. He was so late with Kamingas. He doesn't, I understand when they let whatchamacallit go to Detroit to send Wiseman. I got that. And Jordan Poole, okay? But his reaction to youthful play is problematic because it's like I call him Steve Delay, Steve Kerr Delay, Steve Delay Kerr, because he is so delayed. Like, you got some things you have to react. It ain't working, so you have to stop delaying. He looks like he's in a trance. The biggest thing about Phil Jackson is think he's always smarter. And he talks and he talks in that clever man riddle. That's one of my pet peeves with him. He likes to talk in, his own way of talking in tongues. Great coach and all that. Try to be all philosophical and all deep stuff. Like, okay, Phil. Pop likes to act like, like he acts the curmudgeon role, the leave me alone, all that. But then when he gets on his tirades or he wants to be political, then he wants to talk. He'd be annoying with that because you can't have it both ways. Larry Brown, he talks double talk because he'll give you praise and then he'll be, then he'll come back, bite back how he is. So he'll talk up something and then he'll back talk it. And he outwears his welcome. Great coach, but you can't have him more than 3 or 4 years. He outwears his welcome because he gets on your nerves. I can tell. He burns bridges quick. Great coach though. Like, you get the best of him, and then you got to let it go. You got to let it go. Larry Brown is like one of them kind of people. Like, you ever have a relative over their house, and they can cook 2 or 3 meals, and then you say, okay, that's enough, and then next thing you know, they trying to cook up the whole house up, and you're like, stop right there. That's good. Um, the rah-rahness of him, which I do think he's a player's coach, but I think sometimes it gets misled with certain things that he lets go, and then it kind of takes on an angle of its own. I don't know if he's really is rah-rah, but he's very detail oriented. You know, he's comical, but he's serious. He has a mixed balance. I think he's deeper than he leads on sometimes, but sometimes I think it gets a little bit jovial because how he kind of carries himself. Jeff Van Gundy, I think he tries to be too analytical, tries to think too much, and likes to be outsmarter than everybody. Guy's got a brain and he's sharp about, but he just sometimes he tries too much to over intelligent, overstimulated. Well, you can't teach everybody, you can't treat everybody the same. McNabb was not the same quarterback as Mahomes. McNabb was not fundamentally the same. He was a talent for his own, but he wasn't the depth of McNabb of Mahomes. Because McNabb, you had to kind of like bring him in way a certain way. Mahomes, because of the style he play, you got to kind of keep him in tune to just so he doesn't get off because he tries a lot of different things, but he can do it because his talent level is such. McNabb, you couldn't do that with, and there's different types of ego that work. Mahomes would have been able to handle dealing with To, not for McNabb. McNabb was cut different, and that's a big thing. You how you play ego is a. Remember I told you about ego. That's been Sean McDermott, Josh Allen. I tell you about all the time. Everybody ain't cut from the same cloth when it comes to ego. I don't really have one. Montana was no one's perfect, but I'll say this: he came back. If you knocked him down, he come back and he proved himself. I mean, I thought I don't have anything, no knock against Joe. Joe was cool. Joe was cool. You know, handle pressure, handle the scene. I got nothing to say about Joe. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks growing up, and I just always thought he was cool. Everybody who loved Joe Montana was one of the coolest people, you know, period. In any profession, he was just cool. He was cool, you know, because he made winning cool. Bettis doesn't really, nothing really ticked negative with me in Bettis. Thought he was a tough cat, played good football. Can't really, I'd have to like see something to really, but I ain't got nothing bad. I ain't got nothing to say about Bettis. He didn't really cross my radar. As cocky as he was and how he was, he didn't offend me. I I love Dion. Dion was must see TV. He was probably the most important athlete after Reggie Jackson far as self-merching yourself, and he brought it. So, and I think, like a certain black athletes who take a lot of, wear that chip on his shoulder, but I can't hold that against him. He was done, the thing with Tim McCarver, you might have an issue with that, but I understood it because everyone came at him a certain way and he backed it up. So I don't have anything, you know, he was cool and cocky with, you might say he might have been a little arrogant and smug, but he won. He came up big and he always put himself in a place to being successful, you know. I think you're gonna probably have more pet peeves with him as a coach, how it happens with Colorado, and can he kind of tone it down and get his team back to defensing? That's the only thing. That humble pie is there. But as far as him as a player, can't find no fault with Moon as a player. Because again, on the field, he was white ball. And he had to make do with what he had. You know. Nothing on the pet peeve on the field. You know. Not on the field. Mm-mm. All of them do. All of them do. Because when you get to a certain level, you start crying because you should get more calls. Defense is too mean. Yeah, they all cry. And the way he gets at his teammates, because he really runs it like a tight ship. But um, again, winning cures everything. No one really is going to hold it against. How going to hold it against the guy that's got 3 rings, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 league MVPs, 4 AFC championship situation? I mean, how you going to hold that against him? His dominance in the way he's at, you know. He's competitive. He wants to win. He wants to be in the history books, and he came on a mission. I can't find fault. I might not always like some of his tactics, his antics, but the guy gets it. And there's very few people who get it. There's every generation. So when people come at you and say, "Oh, well, it wasn't like my time, get off my lawn," no, I'm here to tell you there is always one or two that get it. Every generation got one. In sports, music, movies, there's always that one or two. And then you got the mediocrity. Franco, it wasn't so much my pet peeve, but it was Jim Brown's pet peeve. He thought he was so slow that he said, if that man breaks my record, I'm gonna come out of retirement. That wasn't my pet peeve. That was Jim Brown's about Franco. Um, he was. I mean, I loved Franco because I mean he was tough. You know, brother was he was tough. I don't know how he felt about Joe Paterno. I don't know how that all went down, but I mean, that would be your only knock if you want to use that. But I got nothing. I've got nothing bad to say about Franco Harris. He was a great. He wasn't going to get the acknowledgement of some of the other backs because he was tough though. You know, he was tough. You know, he might get the Emmett Smith situation. Where that, yeah, he had the fro, half black, half Italian cat, and Franco was cool. Franco was cool. I had no, I respected him. I like Franco. And just for the immaculate reception alone, because that made Bradshaw's career. That saved Bradshaw's behind right there, that catch. But them Raiders weren't that fast because Franco wasn't the fastest cat. But got in that end zone, made that touchdown. He was. He was. He was a cool cat. I ain't heard nobody, let's just say it like this. I ain't heard nobody like go gaga goo goo about him, but I ain't heard nobody diss him either. He was a workman like cat, So I got nothing but respect for Franco. So I think a lot of mamas had crushes on Franco. Is that hair? Um, I think he wants to say more than he does about how racist it is in the league and stuff, but he bites his tongue, and I can tell, and sometimes it gets him because he doesn't get that. He gets a pass, but he doesn't. And then he got people saying maybe the game done passed you by, maybe you this, maybe you that. He's been to two Super Bowls and he's got a ring. And he's had a lot of heavy political agendas on the team. He's had a lot of heaviness. He hasn't really had a quarterback. He's lost a lot of top tier players in different situations. But all things considered, he still keeps it going. So, oh, they'd like him to be ran off. They like it. You know, they'd like it. But Pittsburgh don't get rid of the coaches like that. And he's proven to, I got nothing but respect for him. Contrary to the cat that comes here sometimes and talks on here, Randolph ain't the answer at quarterback. I Pickens one, but they'll probably go after somebody else. But the fact is, the fact that he got that team to the playoffs with that situation behind the center, Tomlin gets respect from me. You could almost make the case for coach of the year with that situation because he doesn't have a stacked squad. He's not, you know. So there was a lot of them because he stopped being able to coach, and he was just up there shuffling his mustache. Or Fisher Price was up there. The team didn't have anything after a while, and he had like a lifetime pass of mediocrity. So he had to know he was stinking it up. You know, he had to have known. but I don't know. Because he just was the uh he just one of those people that you know, too many. Bill Walsh, the intellectualizer, the man that took Paul Brown's took like kind of like what Tex Winter gave to Phil Jackson. It's like Paul Brown gave to Bill Walsh. I like it when we have discussions like this because then I can get really more analytical than I do in my regular videos, and even when I commentate on other people's streams and also on the forums. Um, he could be condescending, kind of arrogant, kind of like on that Phil Jackson tip, deeper than he is, smartest guy, but he's got that because he always came like a professor. He kind of had that vibe about him. I do too. I do too, because we go into some real different. You're asking me about some people that I have to think about, and I appreciate that. And then I can kind of remember their aura. And he always had a kind of a smug Ted Knight. Remember Ted Knight in Caddyshack? That's what Bill Walsh reminded me of. Kind of like, oh, you that oh, oh. That's what he kind of reminded me of. I thought of Bill Walsh. I think about Ted Knight and Caddyshack. So make this short, and I'm gonna. But he was in a position where he had depth, and he's one of the greatest ever. And like I told you before, he's at the table, but he kind of could rub you. I know that whole thing with Montana and Steve Young. He thought he was deeper than he was. He looked like a genius with the greatest show on turf. There was a power play between him and Vermeil, and then he brought in oh god, what's it? What's the cat that came after Kurt Warner? Oh, come on and help me out with the quarterback, because that was his cat. That was his cat, the one that came after Bulger. Yeah, and Mark Bulger was like he was gonna be the dude and all that. And they did get to the Super Bowl. I mean, he did help with the. They did have a successful run, but he thought he was deeper than he was as a coordinator, and they ran him eventually. That's all. My cousin LT, one of the greatest players ever, hold him in high regards, etc. Pet peeve. Um, the same thing that made him great was the same thing was his downfall, especially that last game in Frisco when they got the doorknobs beat off of him his last game. Um, he wore that he wore that thing with pride. He wanted to be top dog. I can't have a real knock against him because who knew he was going to change the course of football at his position at this time? I mean, it's just that he got older and the Giants, you know, when they got waxed, they got waxed. But put it to you like this: he set the standards. He set a standard, and Giant greatness. Believe me, Michael Strahan, others, they owe it a huge debt because he put that on the map. Zeke only being petty about how probably if you want to say being petty about him not getting his love, and I get it. I get it. I ain't mad at him because I know how great he was. They don't talk about his greatness near enough. People are mad. The funny thing is the people who are pro Jordan fans got issue because he brings up the fact that he did beat him. The fact that he did beat Magic, that he beat Bird, that he beat Moses Malone, Dr. J. That's the fact. He just ain't your kind of person. My only pet peeve of black barbecues that I ever had was that your butt got to be there early and you got to eat because people comes to eat. And then you got to eat the food and the dessert and do the hacky sack race and get back and the music and all that. You ain't got a lot of time. So that was my only pet peeve. But they were great back in the day. Music, a lot of fun. Mm, Walton can be judgmental. I remember what she said about him. He could be judgmental. Well, yeah, I'm gonna get to that, and that's my only thing with Walton. Walton was a team player, talented dude, but I think sometimes he get a little bit heavy handed. Like, yeah, and her. I'm like, okay, Bill. Clyde Drexler, I just didn't think had the take charge attitude. Great talent, but it just take charge is the only knock, really, which is what separated him so much. Yeah, there's no saying time. You go find if you wearing white pants, you walk around, your pants turn brown. Your mama or your relative look at you crazy, like when your pants turn brown because you putting sauce all on them. You just wiping. That's all. I'll give you that. None. I love Duncan. I told you the only thing I ever got mad is that he let some scrubs have some games like Calvin Booth and Jerome James. He might have one of them off games, and because they played against him. But Duncan's one of those guys. I remember when the Heat won, he came back next year. We're gonna get it next year. He came and said it, and they did. He cried, but he was the my homeboy used to crack up when I say this about Duncan. He was the softest, toughest dude I have ever seen in the NBA. Cause he remember he lose and he put that thing over his head, ooh, and then he come back next day and bust your butt. Okay, so he's the softest, toughest cat I have. I know that's contradictory, it's oxymoronic. I don't care. Tim Duncan was the softest, toughest cat I ever seen. Bust your behind up. And underrated and top five ever, top five, six ever, period. And I will say it better than Kobe to me. All due respect to Kobe, but Duncan was better. He put that team on his back. Bad, bad dude. Bad. Oh, Gary. Oh, Gary. Gary talked a lot of smack. And he talked himself his game up. He was defense great because he was the glove. Offense was underrated, but it didn't work with the triangle in LA. And I think sometimes his mouth got the better. And when he got that ring with Miami, he was elated and all that. But he kind of talked himself out a lot of times. Sometimes he put a lot of stuff, because he talked himself a lot. But he was tough though. That's not a hot take. They'll put him in because of his Duke years though in college. So he had a great college career and he had a really good NBA career with potential. And he also won Rookie of the Year. That'll get him in. And he was also one of their favorites. Asking me, should he get in the Hall of Fame? No. But because they include your college career, and then he had a good run in the NBA to an extent, and he the Rookie of the Year, that'll get him in. That's the only way. Because the NBA includes your college career. They got ways of connecting stuff. Well, you know what he was, but he won. He was mean, talk trash, but he was a winner. I ain't Bird outworked you and told you what he's gonna do. So I ain't got nothing bad to say about Larry Bird. You ain't gonna find me saying nothing bad about Bird. I love Bird. It's the sad part we didn't even get to see him healthy because he had to quit up 12 years and his back gave out. But people in the know will tell you he better than a lot of cats that came after. And to me, he's still the white American born standard. Ain't been another one since. Let that sink in. They got to go other places. They can't find one stateside. He know it too. He was a bad cat. So, yeah, but there was mutual love there. Kareem thought Bird was a GOAT. He gave him mad love. I remember that. I used to watch that thing live in color. I watched it. See, I grew up in a time period. If you like Boston back then, they thought you were being white, and the Lakers were for black. It was crazy. And funny story, my grandmother in Virginia now used to sit in her living room, watch the finals. I'd be rooting for the Lakers, she rooting for the Celtics. Yeah, they did, because his name was Jerry West. But Jerry West was bad. Bird was a little bit, had him a little bit beater. And then I'd say a cat like Rick Barry too. There was some bad white boys. Jerry West, Rick Barry are two of the baddest white boys. Rick Barry might be the most underrated white boy, but that's because he didn't turn a lot of folks off. And Jerry West was a bad white boy too. So I mean, there was some bad white boys who could cook you. Pistol Pete in college might be arguably the greatest cosplay ever. And Pistol Pete with his handles, which to me, I know what Iverson said about Kyrie and all that. I like Mark Price, but I never got the fullness of Mark Price. I never got him in full totality. I had him in a high. I didn't quite put him quite there for me. Stockton was a bad white boy though, to me. Stockton was a cold white boy. Because he could beat you with his shooting and his assist game, and he was fundamentally tuned. Tyler Hero should train with John Stockton. Get fundamentally sound so you can be more deceptive. That's how I would tell you. Train with Stockton. Or train with Steve Nash. Learn how to pitch, catch, pop, and shoot. Because Steve Nash was bad for his, especially when he got older. Nash footwork, movement, top of the key, come up big shots. Nah, you might fool around and break your pinky. Tyler Hero could train with Ray Allen too. Mm-hmm. Ray would be a good teacher for him too. So, but anyway, I like Mike Price was good, but when I talk about bad white boys, I'm talking about guys that changed the game. It's just that he has to learn how to get a shot. He has to learn a shot. He has to learn how to really make that shot consistent, drain a 12-footer, work the base, work the post, and get on his passing game. Bam would be special with Chris Bosh. That's who could train him. Long, lean, footwork. I'd say learn some boxing moves. Bam's got strength. Work a little hook, floater, fade away, bank shot, work the corners. So they all do. They all do. Nobody wants to put their butt in the glass. That's what AD told you. Nobody wants booty in the glass. Everybody want to be fading away. And he can get away with it today because people play small ball. There is no true bigs. And that's part of Miami's charm. They are actually in an era where you don't really have to have a positional player. And plus, he don't want to bang because he feels he probably will lose about 4 years of his career. So, if I thought AD was going to play, but see, AD's getting long in the tooth. And besides, you got to have the right guard play for AD. Jimmy Butler and him wouldn't be a good match. AD needs what we call a gunner, a funner type of guard. He needs someone that'll play the perimeter and, he doesn't want to have to play walk down ball. If he play with Jimmy Butler, you have to walk it down. And it's not his strong suit. He need a guard that'll hook him up or shoot long range. He wants to have fun. I'd only make that trade if I knew AD was going to be healthy and I was going to get another piece at a guard that will complement. AD would be sick in Golden State with Steph. He'd be sick with Jason Tatum. He'd be sick with Brunson, Luca, Shea. Take notes. And with Anthony Edwards. Now, now with Embiid, because they too much the same. And Maxey ain't. He needs a guy like Luca, Shea, Tatum, Curry, De'Aaron Fox. Gotta have a guard play that's flashy, that streaks, because he plays like that. Can't put him with this. If we were playing David Robinson Duncan style and Poppers would put that butt on the bench because AD is too soft for Pop. He don't. He might be okay now, but that wouldn't be a stretch. He don't like to bang. He don't like to bang. You got to put him with a flashy guard. I'm telling you. Him and Anthony Edwards would be sick though. That'd be sick. But he can't be just with anybody. He ain't cut like that. Because he don't want to play like that. If that were the case, the Lakers situation, playing with San Antonio, playing with Embiid, playing with Randall in New York. But he ain't cut like that. He ain't cut like that. He ain't cut like that. You know, if he was a banger, it'd be a different story. He ain't a banger. So I'll be watching these guys play. Because he don't think he can do enough to win. And there is some truth to that because Brunson has to expunge so much and it doesn't bring the team, he's on the verge of something, but they need a knockdown drag shooter score. You know. They had a Ray Allen type with him right now. Stephen A would be on a different mindset. And then Brunson would be an MVP candidate with Randall. They need a Ray Allen type. That's what they're missing. Knockdown shooter, can score, give you solid 18 to 25 a night. I like him too, but I'm talking about an upgrade. They don't have that upgrade player. They're missing that. There's tiers to this. That dude was good with Golden State, but you got to have another gear. Got to have another gear, and I don't think they got another gear. They're not gonna get no bench because they rely on what they got. And when they let Robert Williams go, that was it. And what they do, what they rotates, they just play ball the same all the way. They don't play like that. They don't. I told you before, if they had a leader like a Bird and Pierce, one of them two could come back from the grave and play with Tatum and Brown, then you could put anybody, have Porzingis, then everybody else like White could lead the bench. Then you'd have a scary team. That would be scary. Or Porzingis coming off the bench with Devin with White and all that, they'd be scary. They don't have a leader. That's their problem. I don't know how way I got to say it. They had a leader, that'd be a scary threesome. And then you could mix and match off the bench. Then they would be fire. But they rely on the three ball. They're one trick pony. No one takes them serious. Yeah, Derek White off the bench. You have a Larry Bird and a Paul Pierce, and you have Derek White coming off the bench with Porzingis or somebody else. They scary. And when they had Marcus Smart and all, they had that. Think about it. They don't have a leader. That's why they come up short. I don't trust Tatum and Brown. Told that law firm don't work. So, you know. That's why they can't win. Yeah, because they have a great player who doesn't do a lot of fanfare, and he keeps moving up the list all time with triple doubles, and they don't boast or brag. They just get the job done. They're a throwback. You ain't seen nothing like that in a long time. Not even when the Pistons won. You got to pretty much go back to the Sonics of the late 70s because he knows Embiid is faking the funk. Embiid don't want no parts of Jokic. He don't want no parts of him. He trolls the Lakers too. You know, I like that. He made Aaron Gordon legit. They got consistency. Told you before, they could repeat. And then Jokic starts to move up the pantheon. He needs another ring or two, another league MVP, and then, you know, sometimes they'll say it's that altitude, but you know, he can't mess with Jokic though. They can't. And Jokic done already done the thing. Embiid still talking about the process. The cat done because Embiid comes off like he just cares about the regular season. And Jokic is a bad boy. A bad boy. You know. I mean, it's crazy talent. He wins this year. Watch out. Yeah, I mean, he's the truth. His vision, his execution puts guys in places, you know. And I mean, you have to understand details. It's just like being a band leader. You have to understand orchestration. He gets it. He reads the court very well. And he's tough for teams because he can shoot from the top of the key. He can pass from top of the key. Oh, well, I already did. His name was Avita Sabonis, who was a better version of Jokic. I did a video about that today. It'll come out in a few hours. You'll see. Because Rasheed Wallace was talking about Avitas, and Avitas Sabonis was the one guy that I didn't get to see in his peak of prime, but I would have loved. One of those guys I would have loved to see in the NBA because he stayed overseas. He didn't come over, and he came to against the came to Portland when he was like 58. But Jokic's style with Alex English and Dunn and them would have been crazy, and Issel and all it would have been crazy. No, they're not. I think the Morris brothers found that out. Ever since he fought back, no one messes with Joe. No, he's tough. He's like a machine. And the thing about it is he doesn't even go full tilt. That's how good he is. Jokic and his brother, like the Klitschko brothers when they were in a heavyweight champ, boxing. It's like that. But I got number of respect for Jokic. Yeah. Top 10 greatest centers ever and only moving up. Yeah, he is humble. Goes back home. Doesn't even get phased out here. Have his little daughter. I seen him. Got respect for the cat. Got a lot of respect for him. So yeah, like I said, I got nothing against the guy. I got nothing to say. He is the truth. I call him the he's the ATM machine. However you push his buttons, he's ready to perform. I call him Jokic the ATM machine. That's what I call him. He's the ATM machine. If Murray stays healthy and motivated and whatnot, they scary. I like Chet too, but they still need a little. They missing one more thing there, one little thing, and then I think they could be a problem in the West. They could definitely be a
I
problem.
didn't get that. Could you try again?
This computer acting funny. So yeah. Well, he finally, once he got, doing the slam dunk playing, he fits in great. And that was his last call, really, because of his size and his strength. That was the best place for him because he wasn't gonna cut it by himself in Orlando. He was gonna be a junior whopper, Dwight, with just a one trick, but matching up with Zach Levine. So I'm glad he got to Denver, saved his career, put it with some purpose, and now he's competing for championships, and now he's getting some respect as a real basketball player, and not just as someone. He's one of the prime examples of why LeBron James didn't do the slam dunk contest, because to be big and you do that and that's all you're known for, and then your game doesn't go anywhere, people don't really know that you got any game. Now he's got hardware. He's come up in a big time player on a championship team. This gives him legitimacy. So I'm glad for him. I like him. Yeah, I mean, he bought into what Tyronn Lue was saying, and they got a squad and they can be a threat. So long, that's all he has to do. I mean, he knows this is his last golden ride because. Okay, okay. This is last. This is last ride because he not gonna get another chance. So he has to. Yeah, well, because Harden is the better player at this stage, and you have to take that in consideration at this stage, and what's best for the team. These guys are all on the end of the road, all of them, because Kawhi needs to win because people then forgot that he's one of the greatest players ever, but because he didn't load management and you forget how great he is, he doesn't get mentioned with LeBron, Steph, and KD. So he has to remind people that hey, I belong in that conversation, which he does. Paul George is the dude that was Devin Booker before Devin Booker. And it's like you were the next dude supposed to been, the next guy could have been, would have. And then Harding, who was at the two guard, was gonna be in, and then you saw, and then Westbrook. So all of them on a redemption tour. This is all they swan songs. Tyronn Lue too, because if he wins without LeBron and does it with this squad, then So I'm just saying. So that's what's up. I got time for one more question because I'm gonna get ready to go and eat. Call it a night because I've been back. Yeah, we have a nice long one, and tomorrow night won't be no interrupts. I'm gonna go straight through tomorrow, but tonight had them a couple stops. But it's definitely been great. This one's been great. The first one was great with the whole thing with Iverson, which I am going to put that into a video tomorrow. I'm going to go over all that. But I like this last part about the Clippers because it is true. Everybody's had to defer, had to humble themselves, and to understand what's at work here at stake because none of them got room to be jiving anymore. They at the end of the ropes. If they don't, you know, Magic Johnson, 1980. Come on now, Magic, 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 Magic. Because he won the finals, Rookie of the Year. That was sensational. Tim Duncan, well, no, it wasn't his rookie year. I take that back. That was his second year. But Yeah, Magic. Magic is my favorite for that. That was the ultimate rookie season. That was the ultimate. Jordan had a great one, but Magic's was magical. Okay, that was magical. Shaq's rookie season was great. LeBron had a great rookie season. Jason Kidd Grant Hill was memorable too. But Magic for me will always have the greatest rookie season. Hmm. That was magical. Anyway, gotta go step. Glad you came through. Appreciate you. Thanks for everyone. As always for the support. Take great questions, great takes. Bring more tomorrow too. We gonna tear this up, and we got more coming. There's a lot going on in all phases of this life. Stay warm, stay safe, be careful, be cool. Appreciate you. Till next time, peace the best. I'm out.